What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am here today to talk to you about my top 8, parentheses, top 4, end parentheses, run here at the Mexico City special event that I went to this past weekend. What deck I played, why I played it, and why I played the list that I played. So, I guess before I start, let's talk about why I went to Mexico, even though I've said multiple times I'm not chasing top 16 this year. And it's just like a byproduct of what could happen on my season. First off, the tickets are pretty cheap from Orlando, so I booked this trip pretty early on before I was even considering going to Costa Rica, even knowing about it, or Australia, or Collinsville. I had booked Collinsville, sorry, my mistake. I had been originally planning on going to Berlin in the third quarter to, have a nice vacation once I graduate, yada yada. But finals came up, a couple things didn't pan out the way I wanted to, so I had to kind of forego that, and I chose to go to Australia instead, thus making my February a jam-packed schedule. Now, we're left in this Lost Thunder format still for a 1 weekend left before Australia hits and we have the new set. And so with 2 weekends left to go, I had to play a deck that was innovative, but also very consistent in a format that is blind to us. I don't know the meta of the players there in Mexico. I don't know what they've been playing for a while. The results don't really speak for themselves. It looks like everything changes week to week. So as I was looking, I was talking to a couple of friends, buddies of mine, Peter Kica and Edwin Lopez, and they had been saying that Malamar's busted for like a month straight. Like basically, like Malamar's insane. It's probably one of the best decks, most consistent. Gets the job done. It's the one most consistent setup deck, yada yada. And I had it built, but I hadn't played Malamar since the last iteration, so I was a little bit shaky on, do I like this? Do I not like this? And I had played 0 games with it going into the event. Every single change I made was purely based on theory. So I'll go through each of the cards individually before I, jump into the girth of the deck and my matchups. Marshadow GX is pretty much to copy any of the, bad boys you got here to smack a Zoroark, take it out, use Dawnwings as Moon's Eclipse, one-shot a Zoroark, and then Dark Flash to knock out the next turn. Super useful for that matchup. Chimecho is usually the MVP in a lot of matchups, just gives you enough time to stall and set up against things like Zoroark, against things like Mirror Match, yada yada. Dawnwings Necrozma really good against Blacephalon for the GX attack, and also just, in general, Dark Flash is pretty good. Giratina is your primary attacker, more or less. Distortion Door sets up perfect numbers with some stuff, and Shadow Impact is just 130 is a good number to have. Granted, I only play 1, as you guys can see. I'll explain why there's not 2 in the deck in a second. 4/4 Malamar, the bulk of the deck. Here's why there's no 2 Tina. I chose to play a Lunala Prism instead as a secondary attacker. Lunala Prism uses Psystorm, which pretty much has a lot of energy, a lot of damage. But Psystorm is not only good for that, but because I think it's very, very good in the mirror match and against Blacephalon. Because the only way they can one-shot a Lunala is if they need to have Dawnwings GX, or they have to have Necrozma GX, and either way, benching a GX means that I will win the one-price trade eventually. This was a last-minute change I made, adding a second Let Loose in the morning of. I had been playing 1 for a good bit, and 2 Nest Ball, or 2 Stretcher, I don't remember exactly. And I chose to cut one of those 2 cards for a second Let Loose because I felt like 2 Let Loose and Lele were your only draw that you had in the deck. So you kind of had to do what you needed to do. Shadow Punch, really good attack in the mirror. And this card's just good to put up against Buzzshrine because it tanks hits for a little bit. Necrozma GX, 2 of them. It's just the big bad damage dealer in the deck. 1 Tapu Lele. A lot of lists have been cutting Tapu Lele recently, but I am a chicken, and I will refuse to cut a consistency card that even if there's one of, that it is a one of that could save me the game. So then we're going to go into like straight consistency. The list is from here is very easy to explain. 4 Acrobike, 4 Treasure, 4 Ultra Ball. As consistent as you can make it. You have 8 balls, potentially, other than the nest, to search for anything in your deck, except for the March Shadow for the Treasure. But everything else is searchable. And Acrobike lets you get the energies in the discard, lets you cycle through your deck very quickly and get exactly where you need to be. There's 1 Nest Ball. There was 2 for a little bit to put the second March Shadow in. But the Nest Ball is kind of a just way to grab exactly what you need, get an Inkay on turn 1, yada yada. The Stretcher is just, there's one of, you got a lot of one of attackers here, so you kind of want to get them back. Can't get Lunala back. But everything else you can get back. 3 switch. Now, switch over a skateboard just because a skateboard kind of feels like I'm putting it on something I don't want it to be on, like an Inkay, and then I evolve, and then I have to find the attachment anyway. So I might as well find the switch for a bigger play potential, in my opinion. And I was not convinced of this for a while, but then I tested it a little bit, and with words of encouragement from like Kian and other people who play the list, I was convinced that switch was definitely the better card. 4 Cynthia, 4 Guzman, 4 Lily, as standard as supporters for this deck. I was seeing somebody playing a Morty, which I thought was really cute, but I've not tested it whatsoever, so I wouldn't. I hold my reservations on that. 11 Psychic, where it is. The choice bands were the last minute addition as well. I was debating putting them in or not, but the choice bands really help your Blacephalon matchup, your Zoroark matchup, as well as Guardy matchup. And if you're in an area where you expect like spread or something, you can play a Deoxys instead of Lunala. And if you're in an area where you just expect a lot of other stuff, just Giratina better. So that's all in all the list. Huge shout out to Edwin. Huge shout out to Kian for convincing me to play the deck. Keep on it. I like literally got to Mexico, didn't test a single game, made a couple changes, went to bed, woke up, played the deck. Simple as that. I had tested a good bit before, just like getting a feel for the deck, because I've played Malamar before, I've had success with Malamar before. Just wanted to make sure it's the same thing. So let's get into the tournament. Let me pull this up. I have it on a little document here. Okay. So the first round comes up, and we have exactly 81 people, because 80 was the cap technically for Masters, but adding an extra person doesn't change the number of rounds, doesn't change the number of anything. We had exactly 40 tables, so it doesn't really change the math. So 81 was the number we went with. Round 1 I went up against Kenny, who's playing Malamar, also from New York. So our lists were a 58 card mirror. Simply, he didn't play the Lunala, and he didn't play the second Let Loose, which really gave me an edge in the matchup. Game 1 was a Chimecho War that I ended up winning with the use of... I did not have to hit his Chimecho first. I don't know. He didn't hit my Chimecho first, so I hit his Chimecho first, and he ended up breaking block first. And then I think I stopped caring about Chimecho, and I had a turn where when he was chiming me, I just went Guzman with Marshadow and one-shot an Inkay, and then he came up and chimed me again, and then I just did the same thing again, Guzman up Inkay, and then I just won that route. Second game, I don't remember what happened. I think I picked up my cards very quickly. Just things weren't going in my favor. And then game 3 was just he wasn't setting up whatsoever. He got the chime though, but I literally opened Marshadow. I went like turn 1 Inkay, switch into Marshadow kind of thing. No ability or something. I don't know what I did. Or no, maybe I opened Marshadow and just attached to it, and I just started shadow punching turn 2, and I was just like, I'm just gonna keep hitting it and see what happens. And I think Marshadow took like 3 prizes. And I built up a big beefy Lunala. And I just, swept the game from there. Took round 1. Round 2, I went up against Carter, AJ Musgrove from DDG. And he's playing Malamar as well, but he was playing Spell Tags and Deoxys. So, and boards, so a little bit different from the list I was playing. Game 1 pretty much just went in my favor after a couple of let looses went in my way. He picked it up pretty early. Game 2 was... It was a back and forth where I was avoiding the spell tag by just Guzmaning around, and he had to have a crucial turn where he had to bench the Marshadow to stay in the game, and Dawn Wings me. And I used Treasure to look for the last Guzma, and it was not in the deck. So my last 2 prizes had the Guzma in there, and I couldn't win because of that, and I just had to pick it up because he had the Dawn Wings advantage, and I just lose. And I could never punish the bench guy, so I immediately lost because the last Guzman was priced. And the third game, my let loose kind of stuck, and Carter just kind of dead drew. And I just kind of swept his board. Round 3, I went against Blacephalon. Game 1, I think I pulled off a turn 2 Dawn Wings GX into a turn 3, like Necrozma blow up another Blacephalon, and he conceded the game pretty much immediately. Game 2, he pretty much got a near perfect start. I didn't have anything going for me, and I conceded pretty quickly. Game 3 was another repeat of Game 1 where I just kind of, set up perfectly. Everything was going my way. He got a couple of B-strings, which was a little scary for a second. And I had to bench a Lele, which also got really scary. But he played, directly into Lunala Prism because of the B-strings, which he had to do. And I managed to put a bunch of energy onto the board really quickly. Lunala, switch into the Lunala, and blow up a Blacephalon. And then I took the last prizes with my Necrozma to end the game. So I'm 3-0 now. Then I've got a good friend and teammate Pablo. Table 1, as you guys know, you go to his YouTube, check it out. Pablo's playing Guardy. Game 1, I draw pretty much hotter than the sun. Set up the 10-10s on the Ninetales. Pretty much go Guzma kill Ninetales, Guzma kill Ninetales with Necrozma 2 back-to-back turns. So I win the game in 4 or 5 turns. It was insane how good I drew. The second game, I'm chiming to stay alive a little bit. he takes up to 4 prizes, and then I pretty much just seal up the game with Guzma knockout on a GX with Necrozma, because the prize trade usually will just go in my favor, because I almost always take the first prize, and then I can blow up something and he can't really respond immediately, and then it's just a vicious cycle of my deck has more efficient attackers than he does, and his bulkiness doesn't help him in that matchup particularly. So now I'm 4-0. Unless I go 4-3-1, pretty much guaranteed points. Go up against Bushra and Garb. Game 1, he's playing Weavile too. Not the spread Weavile, just regular 50 plus homie. Game 1, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I take a turn where instead of killing his Buzzwole, I choose to, with a counter energy on it, or no, I think it was Garbodor. Instead of killing the Garbodor, I grabbed his lone Macargo and killed it. And his board was like Garbodor or Trubbish and like a Buzzwole or something. And he went like draw, like Tate and Liza, like attach, like pass, hit me, kill me. And then so I think I was up on the price trade like 2-2 at this point. And I went take a knockout Marsh Shadow on the same turn, take his hand away to like 4. He went like draw, and he just passed and he gave me the game because he just couldn't find the pieces he needed without Macargo left. I think he was down like all his Nest Balls, all his Ultra Balls too at this point, so he didn't have a way to even thin to get the Oranguru draw. So and then the second game he was dead drawing a little bit, and I pretty much just started chasing his Sneasels. I went kill Sneasel, kill Sneasel, kill Sneasel, kill Sneasel, and I pretty much just targeted the Sneasel. He got a double Macargo up. I said, I don't care if you have Macargos, I'm just gonna kill Sneasels. And he didn't. And once I killed Sneasels, he had no. And I was putting my damage on the bench with Giratina instead of the active. He would have to 2-shot it. Once he hit my Giratina, I put the damage on the active, obviously. But after his Beast Energy was gone, I pretty much knew the game was over. Because I killed the DNC early on too, and I pretty much swept in that game. So now I'm the only 5-0. I'm pretty locked for points. I'm guaranteed points at this point for top 16. And then I go up against Zoric, Detsy Tails, my friend Miguel, playing Zoric, Detsy Tails with Weavile, I believe. And I sit down, and we start playing game 1, and he sets up, and I'm chiming him. He has a Ditto on board. I'm chiming. He's beaconing. He never shows me the Weavile yet. I think he just had it in hand. And then he goes, Weavile, energy, switch, like, blow up my guy. And I was like, oh. Well, crap. Because, like, my board wasn't, like, well set up either. And then as soon as, like, the lock broke, and then, like, I, like, knocked out his Weavile, he just, like, swarmed the board, like, just candy. And, like, I was just like, okay. And I lost game 1. And then I just conceded the series to game 2 because I was already in cut. And the way I would have done it, I was going to be a high 5-1 if I could ID. And he would be a 5-0-2, so I would avoid him at all costs. So I just strategically took the concession. And round 7 goes up, and, well, as round 6 is happening now, I'm sweating a little bit because there's one nightmare scenario in which I cannot ID the following round, which is my round 3 opponent wins his game against Zach Lesage, which he did. So I cannot ID him. Adair loses his down pair, which he did. No, he won. I'm kidding. He won, but he almost lost his down pair. Pablo beating Connor, but Pablo lost to Connor because Pablo would have been someone I can't ID with either. And then my round 5 opponent winning his game against his matchup, and he lost as well. So there's a scenario where if all those 4 things happened, I would be the down pair 100%, which would have been disheartening for sure. But in that case, I think a 5-2 would have made it, and it would have been me. So I took the ID with Adair, who's playing Zoric, Detsy Tails, Weavile as well, and then I go into top 8. Top 8's played that night. Top 4's played the following morning. I go into top 8 against Zach Lesage. Game 1, I pretty much set up perfectly. Knock him out. Game 2, he has a pretty dead hand. I have a pretty dead hand. He doesn't Marsh Shadow turn 1. I'm pretty disappointed at that. He puts an Ultra Space down, so I go, I have an alone NK, no other basic. And so I go Ultra Space for the Dawn Wings attached to it, pass. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he goes draw, does something. He goes GX. I go draw, Guzma up like Lele or something. Not Lele. Maybe Guzma up like a Poipole or something. And then attach again, pass. And then he goes thing, knockouts Inkay. And then I go draw, attach, Guzma up Blacephalon, GX. And then draw for turn. And then pretty much I had nothing. And I picked it up after that. Game 3, Zach opened triple Poipole. I Marsh Shadow. I didn't Marsh Shadow. I couldn't find the Marsh Shadow turn on, but I had a pretty good setup. And then he goes double Blacephalon, Marsh Shadow on his turn. And then I do something. I take a knockout. Um, and it's going back and forth for a little bit, and then all I remember is he got 3 B strings off, and that wasn't the end of the, like, it wasn't the end all be all. I just simply had to, I was short 1 energy of attacking. I just needed a top deck and energy, I believe. And so I had to play the Lele. I had to play the Lele to Lily or Cynthia, I don't remember which. And so I get that, I go attack, and then he's down to 1 prize. I'm at 3. No, he's at 2, I'm at 3. And he opened up, I have 2 board spots. So I go Dawn Wings, triple charge, Guzma up his Cephalon. He has, I think, he has 2 Guzmas left and a Lele. And then I go Mars Shadow, and then he just hits Treasure into Lele into Guzma for game. Which was a little disheartening, but, happens. Let Loose kind of sucks. Pokemon. It happens sometimes. Bloodlines is probably the most run hot deck right now, and I did run hot. And then I went to bed. I went out clubbing, had a good time, everybody. I have vlogs coming up. Have to edit it. That's going to be a project for this week for me. Learning how to edit and stuff. But I went home. Well, went to bed, woke up at like a certain hour. I wished Connor good luck. I'm just chilling in bed, just feeling like whatever. Like, I don't need to get out. Like, my flight's in a couple hours. I can just chill. And then I got a message saying that Edwin was DQ'd. Not going to go to the details of things, but you can go to Zach's Twitter, deal with that on your own. It's not my place. I'm not here to instigate or whatever. I just want to let you guys know, because of that incident, I was 5th seed at the end of the day, so I got bumped to 4th, and I believe that does give me 130 CP as opposed to the 100. So technically, I got 4th. So, I mean, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, but this puts me to 531 CP. Right around my Worlds invite, pretty much about to lock this baby up. Gonna go home to Washington, D.C. and, dazzle the fans a little bit. Puts me in 17th, actually, for the overall race, which is kind of funky. I'm going to be in Costa Rica next week, so be sure to check me out there. Hopefully I can pick up some more points there. Going to be doing Australia as well as St. Louis, and then I will be taking a short break, maybe not playing any events in March. Maybe one, I don't know yet. I'm probably just going to go home for spring break and spend some time with my family and friends. But other than that, thank you guys so much for following in my video. I know I'm a little bit less energetic right now because it's I literally got off my flight an hour and a half ago. I came home, showered, and I'm just making this video for you guys before I forget any details. So please follow me on Twitter. Please follow me on subscribe on YouTube. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Follow on Twitch. The links are all below. I appreciate everything, all the support you guys have been giving me since I've been coming back to the YouTube game. I know my uploads aren't as consistent as like other YouTubers, but I am doing what I can, and hopefully the vlog will be up by the end of the week before I leave for Costa. I think I'm going to make that a project to edit tomorrow, before school stuff, obviously. But again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything. And next week we'll see if we play this again or something fun.